Mae Tuazon is a historical novel written in Spanish by Dr. Jose Rizal in 1887. In Benedict Anderson's literary review, he stated that the novel's style combines genre like melodrama and satire. The authorial play with the reader's characters and reality is quite uncharacteristic during that time. However, its humor gave it a special appeal. According to Francia in his review, using satire brilliantly, Rizal created characters whose lives manifest the poisonous effect of religion and colonial oppression. Fictional and historical characters like Father Burgos, who lived in actual places within a social system of a colonized land. Rizal also admittedly exaggerated some of the portrayals of the characters like the friars Damaso, Salve, Sibala, and the Espadanya. Overall, the novel follows the basic rules of realism. The title NOLI is the literal Latin translation of the words "touch me not," which is taken from the Bible verse John chapter 20 verse 17. Jesus said to her, "Stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended to my Father. But be on your way to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and to your Father, and to my God and to your God." Harry Sikrovsky believed that Rizal wanted to perhaps express that for the first time he was dealing with problems and condition which up to then no one dared to touch.
In the cover page of the novel, we can see different images, and each of them has meaning. The cover page of the novel are divided into two parts, the upper and the lower triangle. In the upper triangle, it represents Rizal's past lives, involves the silhouette of a Filipina believed to be Maria Clara, which represents as the Inang Bayan whom Rizal dictates the novel. Second is the cross, which represents suffering and death. Third is the pomelo blossoms and laurel leaves, which represents honor and fidelity. Another is burning torch, refers to the Olympic torch, pertains the awakening of Filipino consciousness. Lastly is the sunflower, it symbolizes a new beginning. In the lower triangle of the cover page, represents Rizal's current situations, involves feet, it symbolizes the power of the friars. Shoes, it represents wealth. Hairy legs, it symbolizes the legend of the wolf. Helmet of a Guardia Civil, it represents arrogance of those in authority. Whip, it represents the abuses and cruelties done by the Spaniards in friars as depicted in the novel. Chain, it symbolizes slavery and imprisonment. Rizal's signature, it shows the Rizal experience, witnessed the ills and abuses that happened during his time. Bamboo stick represents Filipino resiliency. So, the preface of the novel is that Dr. Jose Rizal dedicated his novel entitled NOLI to his fatherland and to his fellow Filipino. Rizal sacrificed his personal needs in order for him to make a difference for our country. He made the novel to expose all the doings of the Spaniards in order to reawaken our senses.
Themes that are depicted in NOLI. First is freedom from Spaniards. NOLI, the first novel written by our national hero, Jose P. Rizal, mirrors creator's persistence in attaining freedom from the Spaniards. True enough, Rizal aimed to redeem the country and its people by exposing the barbarity, greed, cruelty, and ignorance of the Spanish colonizers. Next is social climbers, representing the various classes of the society during the late 1800s in the Philippines. Jose Rizal included personalities such as Doña Victoria and Capitan Tiago, because these two portray a role of Spaniards wannabe. Next is abusive power. Having colonized by Spaniards since 1500, the author depicts the Filipino suffering abuse from civil guards, friars, and other government officials, using their power to mistreat civilians. The civil guards harass them because of simple causes, such as not rendering the customary salute and showing identification cards. Next is family devotion. Never forgetting the positive qualities of the Filipinos, Jose Rizal still highlights the devotion to one's family through Crisostomo Ibarra, Maria Clara, and Sisa. With the death of Don Rafael, Ibarra's father, Crisostomo tries all means to seek for justice. Next is purity and faithfulness. Maria Clara portrays clarity and faithfulness as she remained true to her love for Crisostomo. Even though she is engaged to a Spaniard, she still does not submit herself to him due to her undying love for Ibarra.
I am Bryan Ramos, and I am here to elucidate the 11 main characters of Jose Rizal's infamous Noli Me Tangere, or Touch Me Not. Up first, we have the novel's main protagonist, Juan Crisostomo Ibarra y Magsalin, who is the son of a Filipino businessman, Don Rafael Ibarra, and the fiancé of Maria Clara. He studied in Europe for 7 years and requested the local government of San Diego to construct a public school to promote education in the town. Maria Clara, who was raised by San Diego's cabeza de barangay, Capitan Tiago, is widely celebrated to be the most beautiful girl in San Diego. However, she ends up entering the local covenant for nuns, Beaterio de Santa Clara. Spoiler alert, Maria Clara is later on revealed to be the illegitimate daughter of Padre Damaso, who we will be introduced to later on as this expository progresses, and Doña Pia Alba, the wife of Capitan Tiago. Up next, we have Don Santiago de los Santos, or simply Capitan Tiago, who is a Filipino businessman and the cabeza de barangay, or the head of barangay of the town of San Diego. A staunch Catholic, he is an ally of the Spanish government and was considered as a Spanish by the colonialists. Since he was unable to attend school, he became a domestic helper of a Dominican friar who taught him informal education. In continuation, we have the notorious Padre Damaso, a Franciscan friar and the former parish curate of San Diego. He had a reputation for being a cruel priest during his stay in the town. As mentioned earlier, he is the real father of Maria Clara and the enemy of Crisostomo Ibarra's father, Don Rafael Ibarra. We now have Elias, who is Ibarra's mysterious friend and ally, who made his first appearance during a picnic of Ibarra and Maria Clara along with her friends. He wants to revolutionize the country and to be freed from Spanish oppression. Don Anastasio, popularly known as Piloso Potasio for his exceptional talent for reasoning, seeks reforms in the government and expresses his ideals in paper written in a cryptographic alphabet similar to that of hieroglyphs and Coptic figures, hoping that the future generation may be able to decipher it and realize the abuse and oppression done by the conquerors. The final characters are Sisa, Crispin, and Basilio, who represents a Filipino family persecuted by the Spanish authorities. Narcisa is the loving mother of Basilio, and Crispin, who is described as young and beautiful. Unfortunately, she is unable to protect them from the beatings of her husband Pedro and becomes deranged later on in the story. Crispin is the 7-year-old son of Sisa, who was an altar boy who was unjustly accused of stealing money from the church. Basilio, on the other hand, is Sisa's 10-year-old son. An acolyte tasked to ring the church bells during the Angelus, he faces the tragedy of his mother falling to insanity and the death of his younger brother. Well, that's it for the characters. Thank you.
I'm Reanne Benagua, and here are the other characters of Noli Me Tangere. Padre Hernando de la Cibala, a Dominican friar, Padre Bernardo Salve, the Franciscan curate of San Diego, El Alferez, the chief of Guardia Civil, and his wife, Doña Consolacion, Doña Victorina, the ambitious Filipina, and his husband, Don Tiborcio de Espadanya, Teniente Guevara, a close friend of Don Rafael Ibarra, the father of Crisostomo Ibarra, Alfonso Linares, the would-be fiancé of Maria Clara, Tia Isabel, the one who raised Maria Clara, Governor General, the most powerful official in the Philippines, Don Filipo Lino, the vice mayor of the town of San Diego, Padre Manuel Martin, the linguistic curate of a nearby town, and Doña Pia Alba, the mother of Maria Clara and wife of Capitan Tiago. Non-recurring characters: Don Pedro Ibarra Mendia, the great grandfather of Crisostomo Ibarra, Don Saturnino Ibarra, the son of Don Pedro, Salome, Elisa's sweetheart, sinang Iday, Andeng, and Victoria, the Maria Clara's friends, Kapitan Basilio, Sinang's father, Pedro, the abusive husband of Sisa, Tandang Pablo, the leader of Tulisanes, El Hombre Amarillo, one of Crisostomo Ibarra's would-be assassins, and his brother Lucas. Bruno and Tarsilo, a pair of brothers whose father was killed by Spaniards, their one appointed foreman of the school built by Ibarra, Kapitan Tika, Sinang's mother, Albino, a former seminarian, Kapitana Maria Elena, a nationalist woman, Sakistan Mayor, the one who governs the altar boys, and Kapitan Tinong and Kapitan Valentin, the other known people from the town of San Diego.
The plot revolves around Crisostomo Ibarra, mixed-race heir of a wealthy clan returning home after 7 years in Europe and filled with ideas on how to better the lot of his countrymen. Striving for reforms, he is confronted by an abusive ecclesiastical hierarchy and a Spanish civil administration by turns indifferent and cruel. The death of Ibarra's father, Don Rafael, prior to his homecoming, and the refusal of the Catholic burial by Padre Damaso, the parish priest, provokes Ibarra into hitting the priest, for which Ibarra is excommunicated. The decree is rescinded. However, when the Governor General intervenes, the friar and his successor, Padre Salve, embody the rotten state of the clergy. Their tangled feelings, one paternal, the other carnal, for Maria Clara, Ibarra's sweetheart and rich Capitan Tiago's beautiful daughter, still their determination to spoil Ibarra's plans for school. The town philosopher Tasio rightly notes similar past attempts have failed, and his sage commentary makes clear that all colonial masters fear that an enlightened people will throw off the yoke of oppression. Using satire brilliantly, Rizal creates other memorable characters whose lives manifest the poisonous effect of religious and colonial oppression. Capitan Tiago, the social climber Doña Victorina de Espadaña and her toothless Spanish husband, the Guardia Civil head and his haridan of a wife, the sorority of a devout woman, the disaffected peasants forced to become outlaws, in sum, a microcosm of Philippine society. In the afflictions that plague them, Rizal paints a harrowing picture of his beloved but suffering country in a work that speaks eloquently not just to Filipinos but to all who have endured or witnessed oppression.
The conflict. Ibarra debates with the mysterious Elias with whose life he is intertwined. The privileged Ibarra favors peaceful means, while Elias, who has suffered injustice at the authorities' hands, believes violence is the only option. Ibarra's enemies, particularly Salve, implicate him in a fake insurrection, though the evidence against him is weak. Then Maria Clara betrays him to protect a dark family secret, public exposure of which would be ruinous. Ibarra escapes from prison while Elias helps and confronts her. Maria Clara explains why Ibarra forgives her, and he and Elias flee to the lake. But chased by the Guardia Civil, one dies while the other survives, and then convinces Ibarra's dead. Maria Clara enters the nunnery, refusing a marriage arranged by Padre Damaso. Her unhappy fate and that of the more memorable Sisa, driven mad by her son's future, symbolize the country's condition at once beautiful and miserable. Other conflicts are mostly internal, reside in other characters, such as Sisa, Doña Victorina, Doña Consolacion, and Elias. However, the more internal conflict within Ibarra is the more interesting one. It expresses the dilemma of present-day Filipinos, the conflict between traditional values and one's values developed through time.